How important is a daily routine? Do you still believe that it's crucial for people? And if so, why?
It's not just my belief, it's data now. A study we did at High Performance Academy was amazing. 1,100 different people from over 200 industries from, there's like 30 some countries.
Wow.
And here's all we asked them to do. Very, very simple. As part of the study. Always said, all we want you to do is make sure in the first 60 minutes of the day, you don't check your email. That's all we want you to do. Matter of fact, here's all we really want you to do. We gave them some tasks. We gave them 3 tasks, which I'll tell you about. And here's what the stunning thing was. If you don't check your email in the first 30 to 60 minutes of the day, you become 30% more productive over the course of the week. So I'll tell people all the time, it's like, hey, do you want to be 30% more productive? And they think I'm going to tell them to work harder or something. I'm usually actually like, don't check in the morning. That's all. I literally just shared this in an interview with Oprah. And I was letting her know. It's like, this study blew people's minds because here's what it did. Very, very simply is if you check into if you open your inbox in the morning, and I don't know if you know this, but 90% of people now who have a smartphone, when they wake up, they grab the smartphone. It's one of their first actions in the morning. They grab the smartphone, they check their email, and here's what happens, or their Facebook, or their Twitter, or whatever they check in. You're checking out of your world and into others' world.
Right.
I would say the inbox is nothing but a convenient organizing system of other people's agenda.
Yes.
So you wake up, you look at this thing, you think you're being savvy and you're getting ahead of the day. No, you're being sucked in this warp hole called reaction. And those who live a life in reaction that is framed by reaction become reactive and thus productive. So instead of being reactive, what we want you to do is being strategic and intelligent. And that means instead, wake up, don't jump in a mode of reaction that gets you all frustrated and flustered, or even if you feel like you're accomplishing something, you're not. Across all industries, the data proves that you're losing 30% of your productivity. Instead, what I recommend, get up, get a big glass of water, stretch for 5 to 10 minutes. Just open up your body. If you have a yoga practice, you do qigong, or just calisthenic stretching, just stretch to open up the body and the breath. Stand, close your eyes, bounce on just kind of bouncing in place, breathing 10 deep times. Go do your morning thing. Maybe get the kids off to work if you got to get the kids off to school. Get ready for work.
Get on to work.
Hey, some people with their kids to work. Hey, you know. But it's like, do what you got to do. And then before you start your inbox, sit down with a piece of paper. Think about, what are the major projects I have to do today? Who are the people I need to reach out to today? What are the main priorities that I must accomplish today? Just write that out every morning and do that before you check in and start, quote unquote, working on your email or whatever. And you'll be back in control of your life. You'll be proactive and strategic versus reactive and frankly distracted.
Excellent. When I was still working in a job I hated, and it was pretty intense, it was a sales job, so there was lots of rejection and a lot of energy involved, but I still found the time to get up in the morning and do 30 minutes or 60 minutes on my goals, to have a little visualize, focus on my vision, to meditate a bit and to do something, just a little something to create that feeling of momentum. And as you sort of pointed to earlier, when you start building that momentum, it almost takes on a life of its own, and it doesn't require as much energy to keep it going and keep growing, but it does require a bit to get started. So
And you know, a lot of people say though, Carl, is they're like, well, you don't understand my life. You know, I got 14 kids. I got this jerk boss who's texting me, you know, all through the midnight.
Right.
And they start giving away their power and making excuses. And I've been blessed. I've worked with, you know, Fortune 50 CEOs, high-level Olympic athletes. I've worked with some of the most really extraordinary people in the world who have unbelievable amounts of obligations and responsibilities. Right. I've never worked with or coached somebody who couldn't find another 20 minutes in the morning.
Even those guys, even at that level.
Even if that means they got to get up 20 minutes early. Get up 20 minutes earlier. That's cool. But just don't begin the day checking into other people's stuff, because you absolutely ruin your vision for your life.
Well put. Couldn't agree more. Like you, I used to be really depressed, and I was suicidal, and I had a life-changing experience. It wasn't a car accident, but I walked into an armed robbery and I had a gun put to my head, and they talked about shooting me, and I had a similar profound moment where I was like, whoa, like I am not living how I want to live. And so one of my biggest intentions became basically, how do I be happy and how do I live with more energy? Because I was very lethargic, very low. I saw people, like you and Tony Robbins, who always seem to be on, and I wanted to know how to get there. And you teach in your work that there are 3 types of life that people live: either a caged life, a comfortable life, or a charged life. And you've helped me to live what I call, or what you call, a charged life. What are some of the key differences between them, and how do we start to live with more charge, more energy, more vibrancy?
First, it's kind of like the successful people versus unsuccessful people, and that maybe some of us overall, we're not in the caged life, but parts of our life we feel caged.
So what does caged mean?
Other parts are really good. And so what it means is, like, a caged life basically means you feel trapped.
Right.
You feel trapped, or literally sort of in the cage of other people's expectations,
okay, or
trapped by your circumstances or obligations or responsibilities, and you feel miserable about it, and you just want a way out. You're just like so frustrated. There's a frustration. It's like taking a large animal that's meant to be free, and throwing it into a cage. You watch it for a while, it's frustrated. It's grabbing, it's shaking the hell out of the things. It's trying to bust out of that thing, but it can't. And after a period of time, because it doesn't have the tools to get out, what it does is it becomes resigned.
Yeah.
And it gets back, and it sits back in the back of the cage, looking at the passersby. And a person in a caged life, you can tell the cage car because they always say the same thing. They look at everybody passing by, they're pissed. There's bitterness, there's resignation, sometimes just lots of hurt. And they look at people and they go, they don't understand me.
Right.
And that's the ultimate tell. When you believe that other people don't understand you, that's where some of the worst of human behavior comes from. That's where a lot of suicide comes from. That no one can understand me, because the person who believes that no one understands them is the last person to raise their hand and ask for help.
Yeah.
Because they don't believe anyone could help them.
Yeah.
They've created this false model in their mind that no one understands me, so why even ask for help? And they're wrong. And the funniest and oddest irony is the person who's in that place who needs the most help not only doesn't ask for it, but also, though they consider themselves the victim, they have an extraordinary ego.
Yeah.
They think they're the victim. But to believe that out of, now there's been 100 billion humans on the planet. There's 7 billion currently. To think of the tens of thousands of recorded history that we have, and especially over the last 2,000 years of human philosophy, to think that you're the only one who's ever lost your business, went broke, had cancer, lost a child, lost a parent, had someone cheat on you, had somebody take something from you or do something bad to you. To think that you're the only one and that no one can understand you, that's the ultimate caging. And that caging is life. That's ego, caging you into a place that makes you think you're so special. And I tell people all the time, it's delicate to tell someone who feels that they're the victim that they're caging themselves now. But if your adult behavior today is extremely limited in the sense of putting yourself out there, taking a risk, asking for help, going for the bigger goals, it's because you're trapped in a conceptual cage of who you are and what you think is possible for you. And so the only way out, often, the door's been open the entire time. Sometimes it's common sense, but not common practice, what we should do. And that's why so many potentially great people suffer from never reaching their potential, is because the door is there. Ask for help. Get a mentor. Take one goal a day and start knocking off that goal. Get a little bit of momentum. Start rattling the cage, telling people who you are, expressing yourself. It's slow. But once you do that, you start moving out of that cage. Now you're open to learning. You're open to trying new things, higher levels of risk, more people coming by who want to help you because you're not bitter or so hurt that you're hiding. And again, the caged person also is self-protective, so people can't even see and help. And then When we move through that and we get into the comfortable life, which by the way, most people think they want to be comfortable,
Right.
until they become comfortable.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the comfortable life, hey, you know what? Things are better. It's a lot better than the cage life. You know, you're more yourself. You're taking risks. Maybe you got the car, you got the place, you got the girl, you got the guy, you've got good abundance. You develop deep skills, so you're getting more momentum and success. Things are a little easier in life, but sometimes deep skills can mean deep ruts, and sometimes comfort can lead to restlessness. And comfort's great, and it really is great. It's better than caged. But at some point you hear someone, just listen to them, and they'll give you a cue when you know it's not good anymore. And the cue is, you'll ask them, how's it going? And they got every reason in the world to be stoked, to be just like, I'm out of my mind excited. They got all the reasons in the world, and they'll just say, oh, you know, it's fine.
It's all right. Yeah.
It's fine. And it's the sound, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's like there's complaint there. I listen to it as a coach all the time.
Yeah.
And when they say it's fine, what they're really saying is I'm unfulfilled.
Right.
I'm not satisfied. I'm not happy or charged enough. And the reason that is that we know there's another level for us. And that level, I call it the charge life. And what that unique identifiers of the charge life versus the comfortable life, the first element there is challenge. The person saying it's fine, they're not challenged. There's not something inside that's sparking them, that's calling them, that's exciting to them. The enthusiasm isn't there.
Yeah.
The engagement with the day is not there. And ultimately, that level of empowerment to handle stuff is not there. And I think that's what the charge life really is, how it's so different, is you have a higher level of energy, and you have that energy because you cultivate it. You take on challenges. You take care of your health. You have a higher level of engagement, which today, you know, we really talk about the concepts of awareness, mindfulness, presence, engaging in flow, things that we care about that are challenging to us, and a higher level of enthusiasm because you know tomorrow is only going to get better and better and better for you. That optimistic, positive mindset that actually can create or manifest or actualize that desire, that dream. And so the charged life, it's just different. There's more energy, more engagement, more enthusiasm. And because those three elements are rocking on a continual basis, you get a higher level of self-reporting in happiness, in fulfillment, in satisfaction, but also in relationships and in health and in finances. So it's kind of that secret thing that people are you just kind of have to ask sometimes, is there any parts of my life where I feel trapped? Any parts of my life I'm, and any parts of life that I want to amplify? And if you keep intentional about that, that's where you get to live the charge life, or you call it the big life. You know? That's what we want. That's what we're all after.
Beautifully put. You mentioned money. Let's talk about money, because the number one biggest goal of my community is how do you make a great love? How do you create abundance, but doing work that you love, like sharing a message that speaks to you? And you've taught me so much about this. What are some of the biggest insights and aha moments you've had around creating money, given that you went from being bankrupt to manifesting and creating something like 4.8 million in a couple of years? Like from going from there to there and then higher and higher.
Yeah.
What do we do? How do we do money? How do you create money? Where do we start?
Yeah. Well, one, you got to start. And I think a lot of, I really mean that. It's so funny, but let me qualify that because I don't want to be flippant about it. It's that you're never going to earn a tremendous abundance doing something you dislike.
Hallelujah.
And a lot of people never stumble upon that until it's too late. And even if they feel like they get a lot of abundance doing something they dislike, they're still in the comfortable life or the caged life. And so we've got to identify those things that you're so excited to do, you do it anyway. And that sounds so cliche, but here's the difference. It's not just about identifying that. It's about swiftly moving into that work on a consistent basis. Wealth is only generated from consistent value. Right. Not just value, not once value, not twice value, not one big launch. It's consistent value. Matter of fact, there's a great thing. The Forbes list just came out with the highest earning YouTube stars.
Okay.
which we were not on that list because they didn't ask us. We out-earned that entire list. And yeah, crazy. I guess I'm more known as an author than a YouTuber, though, we do 50 million some views or whatever it is across our channels. What I would say is that if you went and looked back at all of their careers, they didn't get lucky. These kids or these people have been doing like a video a week, at least a video a week for years. Lots of people get an idea. I'm going to do an interview show. I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to do whatever. And they do 1, 2, 3, 4, and they see whether or not it works.
Yeah.
And then they quit. But those who it's a calling, a passion, or frankly, an art, if it becomes art for you and it becomes a mission for you, you stay longer. And those who stay longer, it's not that they out-earn anyone by accident. It's that in that motion, in that movement towards their desires or their goals, because they're doing it longer, they pick up more skill. They refine their art. Now it's not like everybody else. Their true voice comes out. Their true contributions come out. And it's in the duration of doing the things that we love that we find mastery. And
well put.
The problem, most people aren't doing what they love, or two, if they do, they're hobbyists. A little here, a little there, a little here, a little there. What my breakthrough was, I went for it. Yeah. I said, I'm all in. Let's go. And so I studied the best strategies I could, and I applied them every day, almost maniacally,
Let me jump in there, because I too invested an awful lot of time, money, and energy learning. I learned from the best marketers, the best people who create videos. I learned about copywriting and influence and NLP, how to communicate better. And I was constantly learning these skills. And while I genuinely believe that wealth and abundance is like 90% mental, you getting out of your own way and just going, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. Those skills did come in handy. So you studied as well. Like you didn't just make it up on your own and trial and error. You learned from people already doing it.
Yeah. And I don't know, you know this as you're interviewing people. You talk about when did they make it? When did they have their breakthrough? Everybody says the same thing. It was 7 or 10 years.
Right.
But the problem is, in the life cycle of business, people forget that. There's the life cycle of business you think about, I'm sure yours, mine was this way. I've never met a small business that wouldn't say it's kind of true for them. Your first 2 years, you're really just figuring out what the heck you do.
Sure.
But most people quit in that time, and they're just figuring out what the heck they do. That year 2 to 4, that's really like the time that you get operational efficiency. You know what you do. Now you kind of batten down the hatches. You put a little process to it. Be a little more disciplined on it, do a little more consistently. But now you're in year 4. Now year 4 through, often 6 or 8, that's optimization.
Yeah.
You're just like really dialing it in and like optimizing the traffic, the conversion, the numbers, the traffic, the approach. But then, 8 and years on, that's really where the big scale, the notoriety, the big breakthroughs, the better efficiencies all come in. But people are quitting on what they love in 2. You haven't even figured out what you do in 2 years. And so the good news is I knew that. I was like, because I heard so many people say that in the small business community. I was like, oh, it's going to take 10 years? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And here's the way I thought about it, Carl. I was like, where would I live if I had to live out of my car for 10 years? I really thought about that.
Wow.
Where would I live if I had to live on a car for 10 years? And I went back and forth. What would I do? There's a new movie out, and I'm blanking the director's name. It's called Meru, M-E-R-U. Uh-huh. Awesome documentary. You got to watch it. Unbelievable. This guy, one of the legendary climbers in the world. But he's a guy. He's a guy like go up Kilimanjaro and then ski it down. Just unbelievable, crazy stuff. Or Everest, I should say, and just an unbelievable dude. But now he's famous. He just won the Sundance Best Audience Award for the movie, for his documentary. But he lived out of his car for 10 years, hiking, skiing, biking. His parents thought he was crazy. They wanted him to be a doctor or whatever. And you just hear the story over and over and over again of people who, they were just willing, and I say this all the time in my work, they were willing to accept that struggle. I call it honor the struggle.
Yeah.
Most people hate the struggle. But anything you apply hate to dies quickly. And so they hate the struggle and the fight to achieve their dreams. So they bail early because they applied hate. They killed it. Mm-hmm. But if you honor it and the thing isn't the goal, the thing is the growth, then what ends up happening is you start to feel like a magical connection to it. And those people always seem to make it. I see it over and over. They make it. It's not just because they have a brilliant business mind. It's they stayed in the business longer. And then they figured stuff out. And I think that's what it really requires today is a consistency of effort every single day towards passionate things that you love, and never hating how hard it gets, because it gets hard, it sucks. Every new level I've broken through, when I wanted 7 figures, it was like, oh my gosh, it was so hard. Yeah. I wanted 8 figures, oh my gosh, it's so hard. Heading, my purpose in this next 2 or 3 years in the business sense of things is to crush through that 9 level in just my personal brand. Whew. It's like, as I go to get there, I don't hate the process. You can't hate the process and build wealth. You got to enjoy it. You got to be in it. You got to be present with it. And frankly, it's like all of the masters, they play at it. There's
beautiful, yeah. Let's talk about
there's
that.
There's a flow. There's a mastery only comes from play and from flow. And so you got to enjoy that. That's why in the charts we call it engagement and enthusiasm. Like, you got to be in this. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "The world belongs to the energetic."
Ooh,
and
yeah.
If your energy sucks towards what you're doing, you're going to be broke. It's just going to be an arduous, awful, terrible thing. But one of my other favorite quotes is Jefferson, who said that one passionate person is a majority. It's like if you are passionate about what you've got. And Lincoln, here's another one for you. Abraham Lincoln said that the thing that matters the most, I'm going to butcher this a little bit, but basically said the thing that matters the most is whether or not that you really believe that you can. It's that decision. It's he called it resolution. It's the resolution to succeed that is the most important. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to make it through. I'm going to honor the journey. I'm going to grow. I'm going to add continual value, not on a quarterly basis, not on a weekly. Every day I'm going to add value.
Let me jump in there, because I talk about this a lot, and I have firmly, not just believe it, but know deep within my heart, it's like universal law. The more value you give, the more you get in return. And ever since I shifted my focus to giving value, like just the abundance, the flow, the play, the fun, it all opens up. What about for the people watching who have heard the idea to create more value? How do you develop the faith that you can just keep giving value, that you're not giving away too much? And because I know that's a real genuine concern of a lot of people. I don't want to give away too much, because then no one will work with me, and they sort of hold back their gifts, their passion, yeah. And so they're not playing full out. Any tips or insights to help people in that spot? Yeah.
First off, stop thinking that you're a limited vessel. That who you are today is who you are. It doesn't make any sense, because you think, well, I'm going to run out of stuff to give. No, because you're going to evolve, you're going to change, you're going to learn, you're going to get more momentum, you'll have more to give. And also, stop believing your ego is the end-all be-all, that I have so much to give. It's like, I know you know this, but those who get in flow or have a connection to spirituality or religion or God or universe, whatever their belief is, that there is something beyond us, that is always provided and equipped us with the breath for the next second. And you and I don't know exactly what we're going to do here. We trust that in the moment, what is necessary to serve will emerge. And people say, well, how do you have that confidence? I go, you just do it a lot. And that's coming back to that consistency. The only people who actually think they're going to run out of value are people who are not providing value. For real, ask anyone who's adding a lot of value, do you think you're going to run out of this value? They're like, what? No. No one who's actually consistently adding value on a daily basis is ever worried about running out of value, ever. It's those who haven't started who fear they're going to run out. Those in the game, they don't fear they're going to run out. That's it. They're not, it's like the answer isn't some psychological ninja, it's start. Do it daily. And you'll start to realize, like, wow, I can't believe I haven't run out of stuff yet. Look, your brain is the most unbelievable complex organism, if you can call it that we've ever studied, it's infinite in its ability to connect. It truly is almost infinite in its understanding of its neural sort of architecture, if you will, because it's regenerating consistently.
Exactly.
So you have this unbelievable regeneration machine that is biologically happening. Wayne Dyer came to one of my events before. We just lost Wayne, as you know, and he was a huge mentor. I toured with him in Europe, and luckily had the blessing of having him at Experts Academy. He said, "Here, tonight, I'd like you to go to your hotel room and measure your fingernail. And then tomorrow night, measure it again. And the next night after that, go ahead and measure it again. Try to stop that." And I was like, he's like, "You're biologically engineered to grow. So don't believe that your brain is finite with its ideas. Your brain is regenerating anyway. You're blasting through trillions of cells. Biologically, you're evolving, your ideas will evolve. Economically, worldly, things are changing so much, you'll change with it. You'll never run out. You'll never run out." I do a weekly show. I think we're on 75 weeks right now, and everyone's like, "Brendon, haven't you run out of ideas?" And I had the humility to say, "Yeah." One time I felt like I ran out of ideas, so I asked my audience, and they cued me, and that opened up 5 more episodes from just an idea they gave me. Because the other part is, those who fear not being able to add value, it's because they're in the caged life. They're conceptual cage of what's possible for them to give. But if they'll go to the end of the cage and go, "Hey guys, what are you looking for?" And everyone's like, "Hey man, I'm just looking for this." And you're like, "Oh, okay." And you deliver that. It's like you get over your ego and you realize the whole world can tell you what to give them as well. So don't worry about running out of ideas.
Well said, my man.
Thank you.
If you woke up tomorrow and lost it all, lost the 50 million views and the 4 million Facebook fans and the money and the fame and all of that, and you had to start over again, what would you do? Like, where would you begin?
In my career as a thought leader or expert? Or?
No, more just in terms of if you had to start and create a big life from scratch. I mean, to you, that means being a thought leader and having a big impact. But for if you started with nothing and you wanted to create something big, where do you begin?
Yeah, first is just absolutely getting clear about my intention about it all.
Right.
Like it's funny because everyone says, "I want a better quality of life," and you say, "What does that mean?" And they really run out after like bullet number 3. They're like, more money, more sex, respect. And they're like out of gas. So that's why I would return for myself to those 7 areas of life and ask, what do I want? What do I want for my health? What do I want for my mission? What do I want for my family? What do I want for my friends? What do I want for my hobby? What do I want for my finances? What do I want for my spirituality? And I get to work in each of those areas. I think it is absolutely necessary that we do that kind of work. If we don't, we end up losing that holistic viewpoint of life. Because what happens is usually when someone ends something or loses something, they become very myopic. It's like they feel like, I lost this one thing, so now their vision only goes in that one thing, and they're only looking at a closed door.
Yeah.
And I really believe that sometimes a closed door happens for us. So can we look to our left and to our right and notice the huge field of opportunity and prosperity all around that little door and that little shack we thought we were supposed to live in? And so if you lose it all, look at the door, but take a couple steps back and look at this bigger picture, and something maybe more right for you will emerge. Something better for you will emerge. And so that's why I would look at each of those areas, and then I would immediately get to work setting up my daily routine to say, how do I improve each of these areas in the way that I want to? I mean, when I say schedule routine, I don't mean like conceptually. I mean, I'm like, okay, from 11 to 12:30 is my workout time. From 12:30 to 1:30, lunch. From 1:30 to 3, email. Like, here's what I think most people miss in transitions: discipline. So their transition ends up being 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, And that's when they wake up in the comfortable or the cage life going, oh my God, what just happened in my last 7 years?
How did I end up here? Exactly.
No intention, no discipline, no progress. And so they end up getting frustrated because maybe they had the hope or the dream, but they didn't have the discipline applied to it. And now they feel like they've been running in circles, and indeed, sometimes they have.
Do you believe in the power of intention? I mean, obviously, dear Wayne wrote an incredible book about the idea that what we focus on has a almost magical organizing principle in the universe. Do you believe that? And what do you do in terms of like the people who practice the law of attraction, who just have an intention and then don't actually go out and meet the universe halfway and go and take action? Do you have any thoughts or insights on that?
Yeah, I do. First, I honor all that work. I think any personal development concept is good.
Yeah.
It should never be taken for itself. It'd be like saying, hey, kale is good for you, and you only eat kale.
Yeah.
Your only belief in health is kale. You're going to die, dude. You're going to die. So it's like, so I think power of intention, I think law of attraction, that's one piece of your overall personal development nutrition. But there are other laws that you need to pay attention to, other ideas you need to pay attention to and care about that are equally as important. So I think intention is the starter. It's like you got to have the intention. There's no question. But a lot of people have an intention, but they're doing so many other things and multitasking along the way. I like to say, maybe the universe hasn't given you what you desire because based on all of your distractions and your lack of discipline, it's simply unsure what you are asking for. But as soon as you are clear about what you're asking for and you get real momentum to it, I really feel that like destiny turns its ear to those without fear. Ooh. And it's not that you don't have fear, it's that you're not generating so much of it that you're kind of repelling and turning everything off, especially your own actions. So I think for those who are really big fans of law of attraction, like, awesome. Now complement it with a lot of momentum. It's like intention plus initiative, tension plus discipline, and stay at it. That perseverance and that patience, especially through, I work with a lot of high performers, and one of my favorite groups to work with are like Green Berets, very elite, kind of the Navy SEAL type level of folks. And any higher level echelon that you work with in the military, you learn a lot of cool phrases, and they speak funny and everything. Yeah. One of my favorite things a lot of Army Rangers will say too is you got to learn to embrace the suck. And law of attraction people, if that's their kale, when suck comes up, they think it's their fault.
Yeah.
Or they do nothing about it. And instead, the charge life says, let's engage it. Let's not avoid it. Let's engage it as a challenge to improve and honor the struggle, embrace the suck, honor the struggle, and work through it. Because I would say, another thing I like to say is when you knock on the door of opportunity, never forget that it's work who answers.
Exactly. Yeah.
You got to do the work. And if you're willing to put in the work along with the intention, that's when you become, truly influential.
Beautifully put.